Hello consumers, I'm Eltari the Professional Gamer, and this is another PAX Friday review, the show where we talk about all of the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for PAX Day over the last week. Now, one of the things that I have learned from living in a desert for most of my life is how to tolerate a drought.
I don't need water! Water's for quitters! I don't need it! I don't need it! I don't need it! I don't need it! I don't need it!
Why, these flowers are just beautiful. They'll live much, much longer in a vase full of ice, cold
Content. And the current content drought that we're going through as a result of Mainframe being on summer vacation and enjoying their lives is no different. Fortunately, Mainframe has been giving us a steady drop of new screenshots to go over every week, and this week is no different. We have 5 new screenshots to go over, one of which is confirming a suspicion that we had from a previous PAX Friday review, and another is potentially showing us a new class of weapon that we have not yet seen in PAX Day. So as always, be sure to watch throughout the entire video to make sure that you don't miss any of this new information. And that being said, the Professional Gamer does spend a lot of time collecting this information so that you don't have to and can still stay up to date with all of the new information regarding PAX Day. So to all of my nearly 400 consumers who have chosen to join us on this exciting and professional journey, and the nearly 60% of you who have not yet chosen to hit the subscribe button, please don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with any of your friends who might be interested in PAX Day. It definitely helps spread information about the game as well as help our small startup channel. So with that being said, let's make like a tumbleweed and roll with it. All right, so we have 5 total screenshots to go over, and then at the very end of this video, we're also going to touch on the topic of fear, horror, and terror in PAX Day. But I wanted to go through these screenshots first, just because there are some exciting new information that we can gather from them. And the first and one of the most exciting is this new weapon that we see shouldered on this character. Now, I know in past videos I have seen pictures of a hammer on the toolbar or the action bar when we've seen UI of characters, but I've never really seen it held. Up until this point, I just assumed that the image that we're seeing was a one-handed hammer, and that still entirely might be the case, but as we'll learn from a later screenshot that we're going to be going over today, two-handed melee weapons have been confirmed in game. This weapon just looks really, really cool. It looks like it's going to be a very heavy weapon to be swinging around. And in addition to that, we know that they're actively working on the combat system for PAX Day, and that's why we haven't seen a lot of combat yet in any of the gameplay footage that we've been able to look at. And seeing that there are two-handed weapons now on characters kind of to me seems indicative that the combat system is getting more and more refined, where it's not just a sword in someone's hand. Maybe it's a club or a mace in one hand, or a two-handed great hammer or grand hammer, whatever we want to call it. And that is reassuring to me because we'll get into the alpha at around the same time that the combat system, at least the first iteration of it, has been complete. This is a pretty good sign that that progress is at least coming along, and it's another good kind of reveal on another weapon that we'll get in game. And we haven't seen this in a screenshot or gameplay footage yet, so that's really cool that we got to see it. So I don't know if these are players, if they're NPCs, and maybe if it is a player, then they're just repping the Sethian faction, if that's something that exists in game. But nevertheless, a really cool screenshot. Now, of course, we have to follow up a really cool screenshot with just one of the most goofy screenshots that you can get. And I know that on this channel, I've just fawned over the level of detail that we have in PAX Day because of the Unreal Engine 5. And this is going to just be one of those cases again. I mean, we can literally see the stubble on my guy's lips here. It's just the sheer level of detail that can exist on textures for characters, and the ability to be zoomed in so much and see almost the pores of this character. It brings a whole nother level of life to characters. So it's really cool that we have that level of detail, but I'm not going to spend too much time fawning over it. And here is an image of someone in a meadow. There's a lot of butterflies fluttering around. It's very scenic. We don't have too many mountains, so maybe they're on top of a mountain pass or something like that. And then we also have a stone tablet or monolith of sorts next to this player character, it looks like. Now, you can tell that it looks like the Pax Dei symbol is on there. And again, in one of our past videos, we've mentioned this, but this symbol is actually, it means something lore-wise in the game. It's not just an emblem for Pax Dei as a whole. It literally refers to Pax Dei, or the divine peace, in my opinion, at least. And we have a whole video about that. We're going to be doing a lot more videos as well, so be sure to stay tuned for those, because it'll be very, very interesting. Now, we've been getting these leaks in the general Discord, and we got 2 of them this week. And I was very excited about this one because, for starters, gold armor, chef's kiss, but also we have the confirmation, the solid confirmation of the first two-handed weapon that we can see in game. And the reason why I'm saying confirmed is because this is the first time that we actually see a character holding a weapon with both of their hands. We've seen a great axe where it looks like you probably should be holding it with 2 hands. And then we just saw the grand hammer, or great hammer. And we've seen all of these images, but we haven't actually been able to connect them to being two-handed because we haven't seen a character actually attack with it yet. And in all of the other screenshots, we didn't actually see 2 hands connected to the weapon. This is the first image of that. So we have confirmation that 2-handed weapons are going to be in game, and that, as you can see right here, greatsword is one of them. And we actually saw this in the video from last week, where we got some more images of the very large demon fight. You should totally check that video out. But we spotted amongst the pixels a character swinging a 2-handed sword, and looks like we are correct. And here we have another image of what looks to be golden shin or knee covers. And what I really like about both of these images, other than just, again, the level of detail that exists on the individual armor pieces, is I'm pretty sure we've seen similar armor like this, but in different colors. And we know that there's going to be a transmog or dyeing system that exists in game. But you can see a very clear example of that now between these 2 images. And it's going to be really cool to see, for starters, whether or not this type of material is actually forged by the metal that it looks like it requires. So are we going to need gold to craft this specific armor, and as a result it looks gold? Or is it some kind of dye that we apply after the craft has been done? Will that dye for some reason require gold? A lot of interesting questions that we have still about these systems, but also very cool to see them already existing in the game in its alpha state, so we have a lot of time for them to refine them. It seems as though Mainframe has gone really, really deep in the armor that they're coming out with, the level of customization, so that we will all feel unique and not just like the same person running around within the world, which is going to be great considering that there will potentially be 20,000 of us in a single server walking around. So it's great that we have that level of uniqueness. I'm really appreciating the screenshot leaks that we're getting from kind of the development side of things. and I hope that we keep getting them. Now, lastly, one thing that I wanted to talk about just really briefly in regards to horror in Pax Dei. From my general opinion, I love horror films. I love horror games. I love the idea of eliciting terror or fear in someone from this kind of media, from video games. Phasmophobia is a really great game, in my opinion, and games like it too. And horror has a place as a genre in many different other genres, like comedy, adventure, action. Fear is something that ties many different stories together, and it's important for us in a game where there is no real quest lines that we're being given to be motivated by other things. And one way that we can do that is motivation through fear. And we've already seen something terrifying, this very large demon. But one of the topics that they asked about was what makes a game feel terrifying, or what gives you fear in a video game. My opinion on the matter is sound design. And a lot of other people have agreed on that as well, in that if you have really well designed sound, maybe you're walking through a forest and you just hear this low thud in the background as you're adventuring, it makes you turn your character around wondering what it is, and there's nothing there. And you keep walking and you hear it again, and there's nothing there. And you keep going, and then eventually there's something there. And it's terrifying when it happens. It doesn't have to be a jump scare, but something environmental that's making the monsters that exist in this world feel real, like they're walking around inside the forest. You don't know where they're going to pop up. You don't know if something has been following you for 20 minutes. And it's the sound that gives you typically the first cue as to whether or not danger is coming. And I'm really interested to kind of see what they do with all of that feedback. From what it sounds like, a lot of developers also agree that sound design will play a major role in creating fear or horror in Pax Dei. But it's cool to see that the game as a whole is trying to include several different types or genres of storytelling in the game. And we can kind of see indications of that in the screenshots that we have here, even where with this low-lying fog, and you can't see what's around the other way, but maybe you can hear it. And that level of storytelling through environmental storytelling is definitely something that I think a lot of game companies are catching on to even now, and making it this level of immersion that we don't have to just see something. Most of the time, after you see the monster, it doesn't become terrifying anymore. It becomes less so. That's one of the reasons why Darth Vader only shows up for like 6 minutes in the original Star Wars. But it'll be really cool to see how Mainframe develops out their sound system. We already know that it takes the environment into account, and it's actually kind of a genius system as well, which we'll be talking about in a later video. But that being said, that is all of the new information that we had to cover this week. I know the videos seem to be a little bit shorter, but we're also working on a lot more longer form content. All that being said, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with any of your friends who might be interested in Pax Dei. It definitely helps our small startup channel. And until next week, I'm Altari, the Professional Gamer.